Alright, now we're going to move on to part 2 of my Walt Disney Classics VHS and Laserdisc Collection 2024 edition. And where we last left off, we looked at the 1990 Laserdisc of Peter Pan. And for this part, we will be looking at the 1991 and 1992 releases. So, here's the first release from 1991, which I have 3 copies of. Alright. I have 3 different copies of the original 1991 Walt Disney Classics edition of The Jungle Book. First, we're going to look at this copy. And of course, The Jungle Book is a 1967 film which stars Bruce Reiterman, Sebastian Cabot, Phil Harris, Louis Prima, Sterling Holloway, George Sanders, to name a couple of other cast members. And of course, I've already talked about trivia for Sterling Holloway and Sebastian Cabot, but now I'm going to be talking about trivia for Phil Harris. Phil Harris appeared in 2 other Disney films besides The Jungle Book, where he voiced Baloo in this film, The Jungle Book. He also voiced Thomas O'Malley in The Aristocats and Little John in Robin Hood. And, of course, I've gotten a brand new CD copy of Phil Harris, his original greatest hits, after I lost the original copy of the CD. But now I got a brand new copy of the CD, Phil Harris's original greatest hits. But anyway, this tape has an ink label, and the print date on this tape is March 7th, 1991. So, this copy was printed one day after one of my copies of the Walt Disney Classics edition of Alice in Wonderland was printed. Now, the 1991 VHS The Jungle Book. This opens with the 1984 red, orange FBI warning screens, and then it's got the coming to theaters from Walt Disney Pictures screen with white text on a black background, with a sneak peek at the making of Beauty and the Beast, featuring brief clips from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Oliver and Company, and The Little Mermaid in addition. Then it's got a rather short version of the 1986 Walt Disney Home Video logo without Sorcerer Mickey, with the announcer saying, "Coming from Walt Disney Home Video." This would, of course, feature Sorcerer Mickey on the VHS of DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp, with the same voiceover. But here in this Jungle Book tape, it's cut short, the Walt Disney Home Video logo, that is. And then after the cut short Walt Disney Home Video logo from 1986 with the voiceover, it's got a home video trailer for The Rescuers Down Under, which will be coming to video on September 20th, 1991. And then after the trailer for The Rescuers Down Under, it has the 1989 Walt Disney Classics logo with Sorcerer Mickey. Unlike the Walt Disney Home Video logo, which did not have Sorcerer Mickey on this tape, the Walt Disney Classics logo does have Sorcerer Mickey in this tape, in comparison. And then after the 1989 Walt Disney Classics logo with Sorcerer Mickey, it's got the start of the film. It does not have the Buena Vista logo. It does not have the Walt Disney Pictures logo at all. There are also some copies of the VHS of the Jungle Book that have a vertical sticker label, and there are some later copies printed around 1992 that featured the updated green FBI warning screens from 1991 instead of the 1984 red-orange FBI warning screens. But these copies are very rare. Here is this copy. Packaging's the same. Same label. Print date is March 24th, 1991. Opens the same way. And this copy. Packaging's the same. Label's the same. Print date is April 15th, 1991. So all three of them open the same way. Next up, I have 3 different copies of the 1991 Walt Disney Classics edition of Robin Hood. First, we'll look at this copy. My grandparents on my dad's side gave this copy to me. Robin Hood's a 1973 film. As I've already mentioned, Phil Harris voices Little John in this film, but it's also got Brian Bedford and other cast members in this film as well. And of course, this is a demo tape with a sticker label, vertical sticker label with a print date of April 29th, 1991. And this demo tape opens with the 1986 dark red FBI warnings, followed by a preview for the film. And then we go right to the film. There's no Walt Disney Home Video logo, no Walt Disney Classics logo, nothing. Just the film after the preview for the film. Here's this copy. Packaging's the same. Label's the same. Print date is May 21st. This one has an ink label. I didn't mean to say print date's the same. I meant to say this has a different ink label. Excuse me. Different ink label. Print date is May 21st, 1991. And this copy opens with the 1984 red-orange FBI warning screens. Then it's got the 1986 Walt Disney Home Video logo with Sorcerer Mickey. And then it's got the rather cut short version of the 1989 Walt Disney Classics logo without Sorcerer Mickey, with the announcer saying, "Look for these animated Disney classics on video cassette," followed by previews for the Jungle Book and the Rescuers Down Under, and then the gold feature presentation bumper, or gold feature presentation screen from 1989. And then after this, it's got the same cut short Walt Disney Classics logo from 1989, but without the voiceover this time. and still without Sorcerer Mickey. And then we go to the film. This VHS of Robin Hood is the exact opposite of what happened with the Jungle Book. Whereas on the Jungle Book VHS, it had the cut short 1986 Walt Disney Home Video logo without Sorcerer Mickey, but the Walt Disney Classics logo had Sorcerer Mickey. But here, it is the other way around on Robin Hood, where the Walt Disney Home Video logo from 1986 has Sorcerer Mickey, but the Walt Disney Classics logo does not. And just like with the Jungle Book VHS, there are some copies of the Robin Hood VHS that have the green FBI warning screens without any previews, and with either the cut short 1989 Walt Disney Classics logo or with the prototype 1988 Walt Disney Classics logo with Sorcerer Mickey. This has the same label. Print date's June 10th, 1991, and it opens the same way. Anyway, now on to the next release. The 1991 Walt Disney Classics edition of Dumbo. Or is it the 1991 VHS? Because the packaging looks like it's from 1991 because it has that ISBN thing at the very top. However, the tape itself inside has the 1988 label on it with the sticker label. And the print date's February 20th of 1991. And of course, Dumbo is a 1941 film, as I've already mentioned. Sterling Holloway voices Mr. Stork in this film. And how this Walt Disney Classics edition of Dumbo that I have opens up? This VHS of Dumbo opens with the 1984, despite having the packaging from 1991, despite having the 1991 VHS packaging, and as a result of using the original 1988 tape inside the 1991 case, I'm going to tell you what this VHS of Dumbo opens up with. Despite this VHS having the 1991 packaging, this tape contains this tape of Dumbo contains the 1984 red-orange FBI warning screens, and then it has the original 1984, the Classics Walt Disney Home Video logo with the cheesy black diamond, and then we go right to the film. And just like with the VHS of The Sword and the Stone, there are some copies of the VHS of Dumbo that update the tape master with the 1989 Walt Disney Classics logo with Sorcerer Mickey and with the Buena Vista logo before the film starts. But this copy does not have the Buena Vista logo and has the 1984 Classics Walt Disney Home Video logo. And there are even some VHS copies of Alice in Wonderland that also update the tape master with the 1989 Walt Disney Classics logo as well, and even later copies of the Alice in Wonderland VHS that replaced the 1984 red-orange FBI warning screens with the updated green FBI warning screens from 1991 for Alice in Wonderland. And of course, some copies of Alice in Wonderland with the 1989 Walt Disney Classics logo still have the original 1984 red-orange FBI warnings, while others have the green FBI warnings, depending on when this tape was printed. And there are also some copies of the Alice in Wonderland VHS that update the front cover reading Walt Disney's classic Alice in Wonderland. Now, we look at two different copies of the 1991 VHS of The Rescuers Down Under, which for some reason was released on VHS first before the original Rescuers came out on VHS a year later. But it is what it is. This is a 1990 sequel to The Rescuers with Eva Gabor and Bob Newhart reprising the roles of Bernard and Miss Bianca. It also has John Candy as Wilbert the Albatross airliner. And also, Wayne Robson does the voice of Frank the Lizard in this film. And Wade Robson also voiced Mr. Mantis in the Nick Jr. television series Miss Spider's Sunny Patch Friends, which was released on VHS and DVD by Lionsgate, despite being a Nick Jr. show instead of Paramount. But we're not here to talk about that anymore, because we're here to still focus on Disney. And this has an ink label. Print date is April 23rd, 1991. Now, this VHS copy of The Rescuers Down Under opens with the 1984 red-orange FBI warning screens, but after the first warning screen fades out and the second warning screen appears, the background fades in first, and then the text fades in shortly afterwards. This also happens on the VHS of The Brave Little Toaster. But then after this, after the FBI warning screens, it's got the 1986 Walt Disney Home Video logo with Sorcerer Mickey. And then after that, it has a silent Walt Disney Classics logo with the announcer saying, "Don't miss this timeless Disney classic" from Walt Disney Home Video, and a preview for The Jungle Book, and then the gold feature presentation screen, and the 1989 Walt Disney Classics logo, which also has Sorcerer Mickey at the beginning. And then it's got the 1990 Walt Disney Pictures logo, which is bizarrely out of sync. And this also happens on the 1998 Walt Disney Masterpiece Collection edition of The Little Mermaid. And then we go right to the film. And this is by far the only tape where you can see Sorcerer Mickey in both the Walt Disney Home Video and Walt Disney Classics logos together on screen. And here's this copy. Packaging's the same. Label's the same. Print date is July 8th, 1991. This opens the same way, but this one has the FBI warning screens fade in and fade out normally without the text fading in before fading in after the background. This one has the text and background fading in at the exact same time like it should have on this copy. Other than that, it remains the same. And there also exists later copies of The Rescuers Down Under that have the 1991 green FBI warning screens, and then either the 1988 prototype or 1989 Walt Disney Classics logos, depending on which copy it is. And of course, we have one more release from 1991 to cover, and I have two different copies of that VHS release. The 1991, two copies of the 1991 VHS release of Fantasia from 1940. This is the third Disney animated feature film, coming up after Pinocchio and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, respectively. And of course, here's the tape. Print date is May 28th, 1991. Now, this VHS of Fantasia is the very last release to contain the original 1984 red-orange FBI warning screens for the Walt Disney Classics releases. Except that the red-orange FBI warning screens on this VHS are cut short. And then after the cut short 1984 red-orange FBI warning screens, it's got the 1989 Walt Disney Classics logo with Sorcerer Mickey, which actually makes perfect sense here because in the film, Mickey Mouse is dressed in his Sorcerer's Apprentice outfit like he is in the Walt Disney Classics logo as well. And then the 1990 Walt Disney Pictures logo and the film. Quite a coincidental release, if you know what I mean. Having Sorcerer Mickey in the film and in the Walt Disney Classics logo before it starts. Another great choice for a logo would be the 1986 Walt Disney Home Video logo for Fantasia, but I like how they chose the Walt Disney Classics logo for this VHS of Fantasia as well. So that also works here. Here is this copy. Packaging's the same. Labels the same. Print dates November 2nd and November 1st, 1991. This also opens the same way. And I also happen to have the Laserdisc release from 1991, and that Laserdisc copy, believe it or not, this Laserdisc copy opens the exact same way as the VHS, so I am not going to go into any detail about this Laserdisc because there is no need to, because this Laserdisc opens exactly the same way as the VHS did. Now we get to the 1992 releases. But before that, I'd like to imagine what it would be like if Walt Disney Home Video released a Classics edition of The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which I would imagine that VHS of The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh Classics edition would be released on November 29th of 1991, which was just 1 week after Beauty and the Beast hit theaters. And as for the 1991 VHS, I would have the 1991 VHS of The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh look similar to the Masterpiece Collection Edition, but it'll have a slightly different cover. where it'll have Winnie the Pooh holding a balloon, and the text would read, Walt Disney's classic, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. The spine would have the Walt Disney Classics Black Diamond and the Walt Disney Home Video text, and it'll have a picture of Christopher Robin in the profile picture in the diamond. And for the tape label, it would be one of the earliest. It would be another release from 1991 that has the Walt Disney Home Video logo in the label, which I would have some copies have Sorcerer Mickey in the label and some copies without Sorcerer Mickey in the label. But the ones with Sorcerer Mickey in the label are more common. And as for the 1991 VHS of The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, I would imagine that tape being one of the only releases in 1991 to feature the green FBI warning screens at the beginning. Then I would have and then after the green FBI warning screens, I would have that tape use a custom bumper or custom screen that has Winnie the Pooh from the theme song and the same music heard in the Buena Vista logo for the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh playing in the background, with the announcer saying, now in theaters from Walt Disney Pictures. Then a theatrical trailer for Beauty and the Beast, of course. Then after that, I would also have a custom bumper that says, now available on video cassette. Again, with Winnie the Pooh and the Winnie the Pooh theme playing in the background this time. And then, of course, I would have that tape use previews for The Rescuers Down Under and The Jungle Book, which will be a little bit different compared to the Robin Hood and Rescuers Down Under VHS releases. And then after that, after those previews, I would have a custom version of the feature presentation screen with Winnie the Pooh with a butterfly in his nose, and the last part of the Winnie the Pooh theme playing in the background. And then after that, I would have the 1989 Walt Disney Classics logo play in a lower pitch on this VHS of The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Then after that, I would have that tape use the Buena Vista logo, and then the film. And then after the film is over, unlike the 1996 VHS, I will actually feature a bonus Winnie the Pooh short after the main feature is over, which is Winnie the Pooh and the Day for Eeyore on the 1991 Walt Disney Classics edition. Right after the main film is over. And then after Winnie the Pooh and the Day for Eeyore, that's when the tape would finally end. And that's that. Note, all copies of the 1991 VHS will use the green FBI warning screens. Which, the first 1992 release I have 3 different copies of. And we'll look at this copy. This is the 1992 VHS release of 101 Dalmatians, 1961 film. It's like the canine version of the Aristocats, except with dogs. And it's very similar to Lady and the Tramp as well. Ink label. This has Sorcerer Mickey next to the Walt Disney Home Video logo on this copy. Print date is February 2nd and February 1st, 1992. And this VHS copy of 101 Dalmatians opens with the updated green FBI warning screens from 1991. And then after this is the coming to only to movie theaters this 1992 holiday season screen. And then after this, a theatrical trailer for Aladdin, which would be coming to theaters in November of that year. And then the lilac blue feature presentation screen. And then the 1992 Walt Disney Classics logo, which is the same as the 1989 version, but the 1992 version has the background in a much brighter shade of blue. However, it still uses the clean music in the Walt Disney Classics logo on this copy. Despite being a brighter shade of blue here, it still uses the original clean music in the Walt Disney Classics logo. Then it's got the 1990 Walt Disney Pictures logo. And then we go to the film. And I know some copies of the VHS have no previews and have the 1989 Walt Disney Classics logo at the beginning, but this one has the 1992 Walt Disney Classics logo with the clean music that fades out earlier. Here's this copy. Same label, same packaging, same label. Print date is February 9th, 1992. Opens the same way. And here is this copy. This is a very interesting copy because if you look at the tape, it's got a vertical sticker label with a print date of March 19th, 1992. And this opens the same way. And the next tape from 1992 that I have is the 1992 VHS of The Great Mouse Detective. This is a 1986 film, and if you notice, there is no Walt Disney Home Video text next to the Walt Disney Classics title because next to the Walt Disney Classics Diamond because the title took too much room to fill it in. This has an ink label and title centered here. Print date is May 26, 1992. And this opens with the green FBI warning screens from 1991, followed by a theatrical trailer for Aladdin, the lilac blue feature presentation screen, the 1992 Walt Disney Classics logo, which is the clean version, just like on 101 Dalmatians, except the music lasts a little bit longer, even after the logo fades out completely. The music plays a little bit longer, even after the logo starts to fade out, which is kind of weird. After this is the 1990 Walt Disney Pictures logo, then the film. Anyway, I have two more releases from 1992 left to talk about. Anyway, Next up, I have two different copies of the 1992 Black Diamond Classics edition of The Rescuers, which is a 1977 film with Eva Gabor and Bob Newhart. And Eva Gabor does Miss Bianca. And as for Eva Gabor, she would appear in another Disney film, and that, of course, Eva Gabor would also star in The Aristocats as the voice of Duchess. And of course, unlike the Aristocats, The Rescuers does not have Phil Harris in the film, unfortunately. Even though he was originally intended to voice the Albatross in The Rescuers, Phil Harris was originally assigned to voice the Albatross in The Rescuers, but Jim Jordan took over the role instead for some reason. Even though Phil Harris was originally given the role, Jim Jordan took over. And it features the Academy Award-winning song Someone's Waiting for You. This has an ink label with no Sorcerer Mickey next to the Walt Disney Home Video logo, unfortunately, just like with The Great Mouse Detective. Print date is May 9th, 1992. And this tape of The Rescuers opens with the 1991 green FBI warning screens, followed by the Coming Soon from Walt Disney Home Video bumper with the Walt Disney text and the feature presentation text saying Coming to Home Video, and a home video trailer for Beating the Beast, which is actually just the theatrical version that accidentally appears here. They borrowed the theatrical version of the trailer for Beating the Beast for the home video version of the trailer seen here. But anyway, after the trailer for Beating the Beast, it's got the cut short version of the 1986 Walt Disney Home Video logo with the feature presentation music with the announcer saying, and available now on video cassette. Then a preview for The Great Mouse Detective, and then it's got the extremely rare navy blue variant of the feature presentation screen. And then after that comes the distorted 1992 Walt Disney Classics logo, which has the same bright blue shading, except the music is completely distorted and heavier on bass, possibly due to the result of the tape master wearing down and getting distorted at the time. And then after the distorted 1992 Walt Disney Classics logo with Sorcerer Mickey, it's got the Buena Vista logo, and then it goes to the film. And here's this copy. Same casing. My parents made me a custom sticker label that looks very 1980s-esque, saying The Rescuers, with Sorcerer Mickey and the Walt Disney Home Video logo in a sticker label design that looks like a 1987, 1988 release, even though this is a 1992 release. And yes, this still has the green FBI warnings at the beginning, regardless of the label looking like this. Print date is May 27th, 1992, and it opens the same way. And the last 1992 VHS release I have 4 different copies of. Four different copies of the 1992 Walt Disney Classics edition of Beauty and the Beast. Which, first, we'll look at this copy. This is a 1991 film with Paige O'Hara as the voice of Belle. When I first watched this film, I thought that was Jodie Benson's voice because Belle sounded a lot like Ariel. But when I watched the film, apparently that was not Jodie Benson. That was actually Paige O'Hara, who sounded very similar to Jodie Benson. But anyway, whenever Paige O'Hara became unavailable at the time, whenever Paige O'Hara was not available, that's when Jodie Benson voiced Belle when Paige O'Hara became unavailable. And of course, this is a great film. I have watched this film as a child before. It's a very interesting story where the Beast starts out as rude and greedy and then eventually becomes nicer and has a change in his attitude later in the film, which is what makes this film amazing. Ink label, this has no Sorcerer Mickey next to the Walt Disney Home Video logo. Print date is June 3rd, 1992. And this opens with the 1991 green FBI warning screens that are shortened. Then after that, it's got the coming only to movie theaters this 1992 holiday season bumper with the same lilac blue background as the 1992 VHS of 101 Dalmatians, but this time on Beauty and the Beast, it has music playing in the background. Unlike 101 Dalmatians. Then it's got a theatrical trailer for Aladdin, and then a re-release trailer for Sleeping Beauty, despite it never getting theatrically re-released. Then after this, it's got this lilac blue special previews screen with the announcer saying, "Be sure to stay tuned after our feature for a look at more special previews from Walt Disney Home Video." Then it's got the lilac blue feature presentation screen. And then it's got the 1992 Walt Disney Classics, the distorted 1992 Walt Disney Classics logo with Sorcerer Mickey. Then it's got the 1990 Walt Disney Pictures logo. Then we go right to the film. Here's this copy. I've had this for the longest time. But unfortunately, this VHS tape got eaten. This also has no Sorcerer Mickey next to the Walt Disney Home Video logo. Print date's July 8th, 1992. And here's this copy. Packaging is the same. This one does have Sorcerer Mickey next to the Walt Disney Home Video logo, however. Print date's also July 8th, 1992. Now, this copy opens pretty much the same way, but after the trailer for Sleeping Beauty, it's got a home video trailer for Pinocchio. Then it's got the special preview bumper with the announcer saying, "Be sure to stay tuned after our feature for a look at another special preview from Walt Disney Home Video. But other than that, everything remains the same. It's still got the same lilac blue feature presentation screen, followed by the Walt Disney Classics logo, the Walt Disney Pictures logo, and the film itself. And here is this copy. This has the same casing, same label, no Sorcerer Mickey next to Walt Disney Home Video logo this time. Print date is August 3rd, 1992. This opens the same way.